You watered everything Sunday morning. You moved the pots to shade and asked your neighbor to check on Wednesday. 9 days later, you unlock the door and half of them are dead. Not a green thumb problem, not one lazy day, and it is not your hardware either. Every vacation guide points you at the same $35 timer aisle and never asks how long you are actually gone. So I lined up 14 methods from $0 to $35, sorted them by real trip length, and one of them stopped me cold. It is 2,000 years old. Research cited by Arizona Cooperative Extension puts the water savings around 60 to 70%, and you can build one from 2 unglazed clay pots. Nobody at the garden center is going to point you at that. Plastic is what pays their rent. Number 1. Prep steps, the foundation that makes every other method work. Every method after this one falls apart if you skip these 4 steps. You can buy the best drip system on the market. If you leave dry soil behind, your tomatoes are still cooked. I would do these 4 things before I trusted a single gadget to run for a week. Here is what most vacation guides skip. The system you cinch to a hose is only as good as the water already sitting in the ground. Dry soil sucks it dry before the plant ever gets a sip. So step 1 is simple. Deep soak twice, not once. 1 long soak the evening before you leave, 1 more the morning of. Step 2 is mulch. 2 to 3 inches of straw or wood chips on the surface. UF/IFAS recommends a 3-inch layer to help the soil retain moisture through hot weather. That buys real time when the heat climbs. Step 3. Move your containers into shade and group them together. Container plants dry out fastest under direct sun, and Iowa State Extension has flagged that for years. Pushing them under an eave or a tree canopy also builds a humid pocket between the pots. That pocket buys you extra days. Step 4 is the 10-day forecast. If a heat wave is coming, add a bottle system. If a downpour is coming, drain your saucers so nothing drowns. You give the tomatoes 1 good soaking Sunday morning, load the car, and drive off. 6 days later, you come home. The soil pulled away from the sides of the pot. The leaves are crisp. That was not the drip system's fault. It was a Sunday morning that only got 1 round of water. Skip these 4, and every other trick on this list runs on borrowed time. Number 2. Recycling bin reservoirs. 2 free watering systems already in your trash. Before you spend $1 at the garden center, walk over to your recycling bin. There are 2 watering systems in there already. They cost nothing. They can buy a few days. Test your exact pot before you leave. One of them saved a friend's container garden last July when a 5-day forecast turned into 11 days on the road. Method 1. Set your pot on a big saucer with drainage holes lined up. Fill the saucer with 2 to 3 inches of water. The soil pulls that water up through the holes as it dries out. It is the same reason a paper towel wicks up spilled coffee. Combine that with the mulch trick from a minute ago, and you have 3 or 4 days of runway for a medium container. Method 2 is the 2-liter bottle. Poke 2 small holes in the cap with a heated needle. Fill it, cap it. Turn it upside down and bury the neck 2 to 3 inches down next to your basil. You just built a $0 drip system. Now here is the piece most bottle videos leave out. Before you push the bottle in, stick a small square of window screen over the cap. 2 seconds. It stops soil from packing the holes shut on day 1. You will not find this on any bottle watering blog. That 2-second screen fix is the difference between a bottle that drips on day 7 and one that chokes out on day 2. One condition on this trick. If your setup is a big raised bed, 20 square feet or more, this is not enough. Bigger space needs a bigger reservoir. And it costs nothing. Number 3. Wine bottle versus buried bottle. The container or bed rule most people get wrong. There are 2 bottle methods people mix up all the time. This is not the upside-down bottle from the last section. This one stays upright and leaks through holes around its buried sides. One works for your porch containers. The other works for a raised bed. Pick the wrong one, and you waste an afternoon setting up something that never reaches the roots. I put them next to each other, filled both, and watched what happened over 4 days in a raised bed. Wine bottle upside down. Standard 750 milliliter bottle. Nail a hole through the cork. Fill it. Thumb over the opening. Then flip and press into the soil next to the plant. It drips as the soil dries. The drip rate depends on the opening, soil, and heat. Mark the water level and watch how fast it drops over a day before you count on it. Best for a single tomato in the corner or a rose near the walkway. Buried bottle is different. Take a 2-liter soda bottle or a gallon jug. Poke 10 to 15 holes across the sides and bottom. Then bury the whole thing in the ground with only the neck sticking up. Fill through the neck. Water leaks in every direction, 360 degrees around the root zone. Here is the picking rule. Wine bottle drips from one tip, so it feeds one spot. A buried gallon jug leaks from 10 holes, so it feeds a whole root zone. Community gardens in the Midwest have used buried gallon jugs on raised beds for years. They fill them once a week, even in July. Your 4x8 raised bed at home can do the same trick with 3 jugs. Wine bottle for the porch, buried bottle for the bed. Do not mix them up. If this saved you from one dead plant or one wasted trip to the garden center, hit subscribe. Same level of detail every video. But 2 weeks or more, none of the bottle methods are enough. The next one keeps a room full of houseplants going. It costs nothing. Number 4. Cotton Wick, the extension-approved trick that waters 15 houseplants for 2 weeks. There is a trick from an old University of Florida guide that costs $0 and keeps a room full of houseplants watered for weeks at a time. UF/IFAS lists it as the go-to method for 3 to 4 weeks away. Almost nobody uses it. Here is the setup. You need 1 big jar, a length of cotton rope, and a small metal washer. Tie the washer to one end of the rope so it sinks. Fill the jar. Drop the weighted end into the water and bury the other end about an inch deep in the soil of your plant. The jar sits higher than the pot, so gravity gives it a nudge. A single spool of cotton twine from any hardware store runs cheap and can serve 15 plants at once. You do not even need a proper rope. A strip of old cotton t-shirt, half an inch wide, works the same way. You will not find this next detail on any extension handout. If you install a dry wick, nothing happens. Water molecules cling to each other inside cotton fibers. The wick pulls water from your jar to the drier soil the way a paper towel drinks a spill. But water can only follow water. A dry wick has no column to follow. Soak the wick under the tap first and watch the first drops move before you leave, knowing that one detail saves you from a system that never delivers a drop. Wet the whole length of rope under the tap first, then install. The University of Florida Extension recommends exactly this. Run cotton cords from the reservoir to the soil of each plant. Home gardeners have kept African violets going all summer with nothing more than butter tubs, cotton shoestrings, and a shelf above the plants. If you have cotton and a jar, you have this method. Fair warning, this does not work outdoors in full sun above 90 degrees. The wick dries out faster than it can pull. Indoor plants and shade only. And most modern shoelaces are polyester. You need pure cotton. $0. Extension approved. That is a big deal. Number 5. Blumat, the battery-free auto waterer powered by plant physics. Ask 5 gardeners for a vacation watering system and 4 of them will point you to something with a battery and a timer. That is not the answer for most people. There is a physics-only system that has been doing the job without batteries or programming for decades, and it runs on nothing but gravity. The brand is Blumat. Ceramic cone stakes that go into the soil, an 8mm supply line to a bucket, and no other parts. No programming required. If you told me a year ago I would recommend an Austrian gadget over a battery timer, I would have laughed. Here is what changed my mind. You have been told the plant is a passive container that receives water. Wrong. The plant creates the demand. Dry roots create tension in the soil, and that tension is a real physical force. The ceramic wall lets water through only when tension is strong enough to pull it. Soil dry, water flows. Soil moist, water stops. The plant is the switch. You just fill the bucket. Setup takes about an hour. Elevate a 5-gallon bucket higher than the tops of your pots so gravity feeds the line. 1 carat per pot up to 5 gallons. 2 per pot at 7 gallons and up. Skip containers under a gallon. Sustainable Village lists 10 days minimum per fill, 20 days max. You set up a 5-gallon bucket on milk crates. You run the tubing to your fiddle leaf fig, your monstera, 4 succulents. You dial in each carrot on a Wednesday afternoon. 2 weeks later, you come home. The bucket is empty. Every plant is upright. Before you buy, know the limit. There is a learning curve. Each carrot needs a day or two of dialing in before you leave. If you buy this the night before your flight, you will not get the setup right. No batteries, no timer, no Wi-Fi. Just physics. But before you buy anything with a battery, wait for the 6th method on this list. It has been solving the same problem for 2,000 years. You can build one from 2 clay pots. Number 6. Olla, the 2,000-year-old clay jug that cuts water use 70%. There is a tool that has been solving the vacation problem for 2,000 years. It is made of clay. You can build one from 2 unglazed clay pots. And almost nobody in America has one buried in their yard. It is called an olla, pronounced Oya. Picture an unglazed terracotta jug, buried in the ground with only the neck poking up. Fill the neck with water. That is the whole tool. Buried clay pot irrigation is described in a Chinese agricultural text more than 2,000 years ago. And versions of the method turn up across dry regions from North Africa to the American Southwest. Not a hack, not a trend. Ancient irrigation that got forgotten in the U.S. when hoses and sprinklers arrived. Here is what happens under your soil. The olla sits buried. Its clay walls have millions of tiny pores you cannot see. Water inside presses against those walls. Dry soil outside pulls back. When the soil is thirsty, water crosses through. When the soil is saturated, the pull stops. The flow slows sharply once the surrounding soil is wet. It only delivers what the plant demands. Within 2 weeks, roots grow toward it and wrap around the walls. When you dig up an olla at the end of the season, it comes out inside a net of roots. In plain English, your plant is watering itself. You are just refilling a jar. So bury the clay body, leave the neck exposed, and surface water for the first 7 to 10 days while the roots adjust to the source. Arizona Cooperative Extension cites water savings around 60 to 70% compared to watering can irrigation. A grower in California put 4 ollas in a 4x4 pumpkin bed one April. Never watered it again all summer. When she pulled the ollas up in October, each one wrapped in a mat of roots. Build one yourself. 2 small unglazed terracotta pots from any hardware store. A tube of silicone caulk to seal the drain hole and glue them rim to rim, plus a stopper for the top. Buying every part new at Home Depot runs about $15 right now. If the pots and caulk are already in your shed, close to nothing. Bury it, leaving only the top inch exposed. Cover with a rock or saucer to keep mosquitoes out. Refill when the water drops below halfway. One small olla covers about 4 square feet, or 2 to 3 plants. Medium for 6 to 10 square feet, large for up to 16. Two honest limits. If your soil freezes hard in winter, dig your ollas up before first frost. Terracotta shatters when the water inside freezes, and do not install one next to a seedling. Roots need 2 weeks to reach the clay wall. 2,000 years of testing. For the money, nothing else comes close. Number 7. Moistenland Drip Timer. The bucket position fix behind every 1-star review. There is one automatic system around the $40 mark that keeps showing up on vacation guides. It runs off 4 AA batteries. It waters up to 15 plants. And the Amazon 1-star reviews are full of the same story. I came home and every plant was drowned. The brand is Moistenland. The kit comes with a pump unit, 33 feet of tubing, 15 watering stakes, and T-joints. Set the pump on top of a 5-gallon bucket of water. Program the watering time and interval. Test the exact time and interval for each plant group at home for a full week before you leave. Most of those 1-star reviews are not product failures. They are setup failures. I would trust the pump only after watching it run for a full week at home. One failure mode shows up more than any other: accidental siphoning. Where you put the bucket. If the bucket sits higher than your pots, gravity siphons water down through the tubing after the pump stops. That is physics. No timer fights it. Put the bucket on the floor or on a shelf level with the base of the pots, never above. If you have been eyeing a $40 drip kit on Amazon for your 2-week trip, read this before you unbox it. The setup mistake that kills these things takes 10 seconds to make and 1 sentence to prevent. One honest note: this system runs on batteries. If they die on day 9 of a 14-day trip, your plants dry out. Test the drain rate for a full week at home before you leave. The system is fine. The mistake is the bucket. Number 8. Plant Sitting Co-op. The reciprocal insurance that beats any gadget past 4 weeks. Every method on this list has a ceiling. Ollas hit their range, wicks eventually clog, drip kits run out of battery. There is one method that beats all of them for trips longer than 4 weeks, and it costs you exactly $0. The Plant Sitting Co-op. Not a favor. Reciprocal insurance. You water for your neighbor when they travel. They water for you when you travel. Nobody owes anybody. For trips longer than 4 weeks, the University of Florida Extension says plainly, send your plants to a sitter. After a month, pest problems can build faster than any watering system can catch. UF/IFAS calls this the point to hand plants over to a sitter. Setup takes 15 minutes. Spare key, schedule sheet with dates. Written note sorted into 3 groups: thirsty, moderate, drought tolerant. Fill watering cans first so your sitter pours instead of measures. A gardener I read about traded homegrown cucumbers all summer for her neighbor's plant sitting. Both got what they needed. Your setup can be even simpler: a Saturday of dog sitting, or a jar of summer pesto. No neighbor? Hiring help costs more than a neighbor swap, but still less than replacing a room full of plants. This only works if you return the favor. One-sided arrangements collapse by the 2nd summer. Show up for your neighbor first, before you ever ask. Of everything on this list, this is the one I would not skip if my trip stretches past a month. Free, reliable, works forever. No one talks about this. So here is the map. 4 prep steps that give any plant a week of runway on their own. 2 free reservoir tricks from the recycling bin. 2 bottle methods sorted by garden type. A cotton wick straight from a University of Florida guide. A physics-only Blumat system for the plant nerds. A 2,000-year-old olla that still beats modern kits on water savings. and the drip timer that only fails when you set the bucket wrong. Plus the one method that beats them all when the trip stretches past 4 weeks. Most DIY options cost little or nothing. The 2 commercial systems are the exceptions. Vacation watering is not a hardware problem. It is a physics and planning problem. And every dollar you save here is a dollar for a real plant next season. Now drop a comment. Tell me which one of these you are setting up first. And be honest. Which mistake have you already made? Think of one person who booked a summer trip and keeps staring at a windowsill full of plants they are worried about. The friend who texted you last week asking what to do. The coworker whose desk plants never survive a long weekend. Send them this video. Do not even write a message, just send the link.